we recording? Okay. And a 1, and a 2, and a... We are the Mrs. and a Mike. 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 We are the Mrs. and a Mike.
Oh, that was a good one.
I know, girl. I got into that one.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the Mrs. and a Mike podcast. This is CJ.
It's Al.
And Bree.
Hi.
All right, guys. So what do we want to talk about first from our lives from this week?
Some peaks. So I have one that was really fun. We got together with some friends and their kids and went to one of those like trampoline parks.
I know, and I missed it.
I know. But it was a lot of fun because we jumped too. So they got to jump. And
Can I make you laugh?
Sure.
So the last time I took my child to one of those, which was also amongst our friends, I didn't realize that I probably should have been staying on my Kegels. And I had a little leakage when I was jumping. I didn't realize gravity can pull in ways it didn't prior to me giving birth.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, just keep that in mind, ladies. If you've had children, do your Kegels before you go to trampoline park. That's all I'm saying.
So on a more PG note, I will say that something like in my stomach is just a little different.
Gravity.
Because jumping now, you get that, I don't even know what it's called. I'm sure there's a technical term for it. Like that butterfly fluttering feeling, like when you're on a roller coaster and your stomach drops. Uh-huh. I felt like that jumping too high on the trampoline. So mind you, I still did it because it was fun. But I was like...
We're not that old yet.
I was like, this is a little different. I'm pretty sure.
I need you to tell your body we're not that old yet, though.
Oh, listen.
From the woman who peed herself.
My body told me I was old the day after. Right. And not even from the trampolines, but then there are all of these other obstacles and things you can swing and hang from. And I called myself trying to be young with the kids. And my son is rooting me on. You can do it, mommy. You can do it. So I'm like hanging from the bars and the different rings. And the next morning, I could not move my arms above my head.
We are so out of shape.
But it was fun while it lasted. We are very much so out of shape. That morning, this is embarrassing.
Shape, yeah.
I need to get in the gym, do some yoga, something. This is awful.
Or just keep going back to the trampoline park.
That's expensive.
You got it, big money grip. What about you, though?
I had a baby shower.
It was so beautiful.
It was.
Yes. And my little cousin, she wrote a lullaby for my baby, and that was just the highlight.
And everybody cried.
Oh, it was so sweet.
So
it was
beautiful.
really, really, really sweet. So that's definitely my peak. Funny thing is, I was very sore after my baby shower, and all I did was walk around. That's it.
But you didn't
say
sit
hi
down
to everybody.
at all. The most you did was sit down to open gifts.
Yeah, I cannot
And that
move the
was
next
it.
day. So
That's all right. Listen, your body is not your own right now.
no, it's not.
So
it's definitely
it's
not.
okay. So mine's not so much a peak or a pit. It's really a public service announcement.
Okay.
I am taking applications for a plus size best friend with impeccable taste. Because y'all heifers not plus size. Y'all straight size. And so I don't have, that's what it's called. I didn't make that up.
Okay.
And I don't have nobody to like shop with me for the things that fit me and are becoming fashion forward now. Also,
But she tells us no new friends.
Exactly.
this is different.
Exactly.
I'm not going to bring her
okay.
into the inner sanctum. I'm just going to bring her with me to Neiman Marcus. Okay. She also needs to be very bougie. All right. Don't don't not be able to pronounce Giambattista Valli and stuff like that. Like,
Who and the what?
see,
So she needs to be bougie and have a large shopping budget.
Yes. Why is it so hard?
Oh, okay. I
So
wonder.
if this sounds like you, or you know somebody, shoot us a DM, a tweet, not a Twitter message, a tweet, an email at mrsandamike@gmail. Title it Bree's New Best Friend. And we will see if we are compatible with each other in our shopping with each other. Because there's so much I want to do, and y'all don't want to do it with me. And y'all don't want to hang out in the side of the store I hang out in.
I don't shop in stores where I know I'm not going to buy anything.
You don't shop in stores, period. You shop on Amazon.
You're right. You have a point.
Which Amazon does have really cute stuff that all of us can fit, but I still need to like feel it in my
touch the
hands.
clothes and
yes. I have to.
They have to speak to you.
It's an experience. I need the salespeople to like, suck up a little bit. Like I need everything to be wrapped up when I'm walking out. I need to walk around with my bag so everybody can see it. I'm joking about that. But like, it's an experience for me, and I still need that experience.
Yeah. I will say that I do struggle with this new online clothing shopping thing because I do agree with you in that regard. I do want to feel the material and see how it fits, and because there have been plenty times I have been in the store, gone in the dressing room with about 15 items,
and none of them
walked out with none.
Yes. And I think if you have put all 15 in your cart,
right,
waited for them to pay for shipping,
right,
waited for them to come, and then you gotta ship it all back. Like,
it's weird because like with me with online shopping, it's like several items just work. And when I'm in the store, nothing works. Like
really
nothing. So I think I just have such good luck with shopping online that I'm like,
you'll stick with it.
My thing with like Amazon is like each item comes from a different quote unquote boutique. So their sizes run different.
Yes.
The material, you might think it's one thing because of the pictures, but then it comes and it's something else.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, I don't, just shop on Amazon for clothes. Like even like Old Navy, going to Old Navy, I probably will not find anything. But
I won't either in store with Old Navy. They plus size
ordering
sucks.
it though,
so if you work at Old Navy,
I'll have a bunch of stuff that I like.
Yeah, me too. So if you work for Old Navy corporate, y'all need to do better. It's a whole lot more us curvy, chubby, whatever you want to call us girls out there with a whole lot of money in our pockets that would love to patronize your establishment, but y'all don't have the shit in store. So work on that. But yeah, that's my PSA. So take applicants.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Good luck with that.
I'm gonna find her. She's out there. I know, and she's gonna have a great personality.
Yes.
And she's not gonna eat the last cheese cracker without offering me one.
Girl, who did that?
I wonder who did that.
Oh, that's rude.
It's mad rude. Anyways, so today on the Mrs. and the Mic, we're talking about unrealistic expectations in relationships.
Okay.
I didn't have any because I am perfect, and so is my husband.
You see his eyebrow
that's
raised?
twitching? The one that's twitching?
I couldn't hold it long enough, and then I started stuttering, and it just...
Your face tells on you every single time. Anywho, so what do you guys feel about that?
I definitely think a lot of us, I think almost all of us, go into relationships with unrealistic expectations. And I think as the relationship goes on, we're forced to either check those expectations and compromise or walk away from the relationship. And I think the problem, and we can expand on it as we expand on this topic, the problem comes in when you're not able to realize what's an unrealistic expectation versus like a deal breaker in a relationship.
Or like a standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or a standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so what, or do you have an example? Like what?
So yeah, for example, I think an unrealistic expectation for me was to have a spouse that was that 110% shared my ideas on maybe like what recreationally was and was not acceptable.
What do you mean recreationally?
Because
you say recreation, I'm thinking like y'all throwing a ball in a park.
What recreational substances? What recreational legal substances?
Got you. So
were
of
and
like
were not
partaking,
right?
Of different,
so like
mind altering agents,
right? Well, not even that much so, but like perfect example. He's not into like cigarettes and that kind of thing, but he will occasionally have. I don't even know what it's called. They call them cloves, but I don't think that's like the technical name for it.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
Like occasionally if he's had like a hard day at work, he'll smoke one on the way home, which essentially is probably like a cigarette. I don't know. I'm not well versed in these things.
She's like, I don't do them, so I don't.
But I think health-wise, that's a really bad habit to have. But I also understand that if he's really stressed out and he feels like smoking this clove on the way home will help him to relax and kind of reset before he comes home to deal with his wife and kids, then I have to compromise in that regard, because I'd much rather him come home and be in a good space to deal with us than I am
wound up because he didn't do that thing that maybe you don't like.
Right. So I'd much rather that be the case than to lay down the law and be like, none of that. You can't have it. You can't do it. That's an unrealistic expectation.
He should just eat edibles. That's much healthier and gives equally as calming an effect. I mean, but that's not legal in this state yet. Here. But if it comes across y'all ballot, trust me, the world would be a better place if y'all vote yes. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so what about you, Elle? Did you have any?
I guess for me, I mean, it might sound a little silly, but like my husband, he loves naps. Like, loves naps. Like, he's the king of napping.
You probably know this, though, about him already. But you know he was voted most likely to fall asleep, I think, through a hurricane or something.
World War III.
Something like that, yes. They wasn't lying, though.
Yeah, so I am the complete opposite. I'm completely anti-nap. I'm like, we have something to do. We have to go to the store. He's like, oh, let me shut my eyes for 10 minutes. And I'm like, why? Like, just go to sleep tonight. And it's bedtime, like.
He needs a power nap to recharge.
So, really, that's unrealistic. I mean, the man needs a nap. Like, he should just be able to take a nap.
Without you nagging him.
Yeah. So, that's something I've just kind of learned to live with. Like, just because I don't think it's really necessary doesn't mean that it's not necessary. He needs his naps. So
I really thought about this hard, ahead of this recording. And the only thing I could think of that was possibly a little unrealistic, although I'm sure as we delve into this more things will come up. I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's true. I did think that, blah, 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 blah. I probably had unrealistic expectations about finance with my husband. Because as I've stated before, I'm very, live fast and loose. You can't take it with you. And he is much more conservative, which balances. But I thought going in that, he would just let me do me and not ever check me, especially since we do have separate finances. But he just can't. He can't sit around and see all these Louis Vuitton bags keep coming in the house or whatever. You know what I mean? And, and be like, what are you doing? Like, he's got to,
My husband would have
he's got to be like,
out by now.
Now, I do think maybe one of his unrealistic expectations was that he could get that out of me and that would just completely go away when we got married. So I've compromised in that I'm more forthwith with the discussions prior to purchases. And he is also compromised in that he does not think it's as ridiculous. He understands that this is my vice. I don't smoke cigarettes or whatever. I barely drink, only on social occasions. So I don't spend my money on alcohol. I don't gamble. I really don't go out. I'm at home with my kids and my husband like 99% of the time. So this is my vice. And he's like, of all the things she could be doing, is this the worst thing in the world? Like, no. So that's the only thing that really came to mind about that. About unrealistic expectations. Like prior. Yeah. Right. Prior to. But Did y'all have any about like appearance or finance or romance or homemaking, sex, anything going in?
For me, it was kind of, I had an expectation for myself. After I got married, I was just like, oh, I'm a wife. Like, I have to be beautiful every day. I have to do my makeup. Like, I have to have my hair done. That lasted about 3 weeks, maybe.
I thought she was going to say like the first 3 years, you know, and then I was like, I'm tired. No, 3 weeks. He didn't get a month.
No, it was, I literally, just was I don't wear makeup, but I started wearing makeup. I was like, but it was just unrealistic for me because that's not who I am. I don't wear makeup often, stuff like that. So that was kind of an unrealistic expectation for myself once I got married.
Mm-hmm.
He could care less. He actually prefers me not to wear makeup. So
right. Same with me. It's funny because, and I still call it like Operation Never Ratchet. And, and I feel like we're an extension of each other. So if we go out and, we're out separately and somebody sees him or somebody sees me, whatever they see is what they automatically associate with the other person. Mm-hmm. And so I never want to be out looking like trash.
Right.
And people think, oh,
he married trash.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, especially after having kids, I had to tone down my expectation in that it doesn't mean I have to be full face makeup, like dressed, dressed like I'm going out to, I don't know, like the fashion show or whatever the case may be.
The fashion show?
Yeah.
Who calls it the fashion show?
Like New York Fashion Week, and I'm going to a fashion show.
A fashion show, but not the fashion show.
Oh my goodness. Really? Are we going to sit up here and argue about...
I need the other friend, because she would know better. Friend, you would know better, huh, friend, out there. She's listening right now with her press pass.
So, friends, if you're out there and you are that particular about A and the, please respond to Mrs. Bree immediately.
It makes a difference.
Really?
Like if I say, CJ, you're a asshole, well, an asshole. I could say, or you're the asshole. Like, a asshole means, well, there's plenty of us. The asshole means I'm the only one.
It could mean the asshole in this particular situation. It doesn't mean in the whole entire world. It might. Goodness.
Anyways, back to what you were saying about the fashion show.
The point being, I've had to tone down that expectation for myself in that it means being presentable. Meaning my hair is combed, my clothes are neat, they're not mismatched or anything like that.
Covered in spit up.
Right, covered in spit up. If I run into somebody, I'm not immediately embarrassed to be out in public.
Looking like that, right? Because that is when you will run into somebody from high school.
Yes.
Who wasn't your friend, but not your enemy, but still. You know what I mean? Like, that is when it happens. So ironically, I have the same thing, but it was never an unrealistic expectation because the expectation I came with in marriage was if we're going to go somewhere to an event together, I want to make sure I always look like a trophy on your arm. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean a trophy in the sense that I look like a Barbie doll, but a trophy in the sense that they'll be like, Mr. Bree's wife is always so well dressed and, she carries herself with such class. I'm like, I know y'all don't think I got class. But I do.
Nobody said that.
I'm talking to the listeners. I'm talking to y'all. Y'all have seen me in my classy environment, okay? But the point, and I've stuck to that. So I'm proud of myself, pat on the back. So sometimes something can be unrealistic to someone else if they just take it to an extreme. Mm-hmm. But if you are reasonable about what you go into it with, is what I'm getting at, then it's a very attainable expectation and go. And he never told me, like, listen, we're going to work functions, you got to blah, 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 blah. But I've also never put him in a situation where he wouldn't want me to look how I look or, and go with him. Because he's never had to worry about the fact that if the other wives were there, his wife was the ratchet one. Right. So I think, it depends on how much like stock you put into it sometimes, whether or not something's unrealistic or realistic.
Right. So here's one that a lot of my friends have, and I think they struggle with a lot. So the fact that they are college educated women who have just worked really hard, gone out and gotten really awesome jobs. And then their expectation is that every guy they meet that they're going to consider as a spouse will match or exceed them in that regard.
Yeah.
And for some people, so much so that they have probably dismissed really amazing
great potential,
men.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they didn't feel like academically he matched up with them.
Or title, professionally.
Right.
Yeah.
Professionally, he matched up with them.
Can I just say this? Because coming from me is probably going to be a shocker. I 1,000,000% agree with everything you just said. Now, I'm not saying that means you got to accept the bums. But if that man works hard, makes a good living for himself, just because it's not your 6-figure living, just because it's not your executive VP title, just because it's not your Vassar degrees, does not mean he's a piece of trash.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you could end up lonely.
Oh, yeah.
For the rest of your life, never having had that family, that marriage, whatever it is, your goal is, because you kept looking for, if I'm the VP, I want him to be the VP. If I went to Vassar, I want him to go to Brown. If I, so, and again, not lowering a standard, because I know expectations and standards can kind of go hand in hand. Not lowering your standards, but certainly be realistic.
Right.
About what you're trying to get, who you're trying to be with.
Yeah.
Right. And I think just in that regard, so for instance, he may not have all of the college degrees or letters behind his name, but he may be a very intelligent individual. And I don't ever want people to take intelligence and just toss it away because it's not accompanied with letters behind your name. Same thing with professions. He may not be the VP of the company, but he may be in an extremely solid, lucrative career doing something else, something that will contribute substantially to your households and your household's income, that will provide a life better than what the VP could have provided. But dismissing it because it's not the title or the profession you think he should have.
Absolutely. 100%. Now, he got to be doing better than the $75 engagement ring. I know I keep bringing it up, but because I saw a lady the other day who said yes to a grain of salt on a string. And I was like, what are we doing?
And you know what? That's fine, because for you, that's your standard.
No, not for me. Everybody should have this standard. Listen to me, ladies. If he can't get you a real something, leave him where he's at.
We will not get into this debate again. No. I'm just saying.
Well, please refer back to, I think it was episode 2 of Four Misses and the Mics. You can hear how I feel about it. It's trust me, it's not coming from a place of shallowness. Trust me. But I'm saying, be realistic, but don't put your standards in the gutter. That's all I'm saying. If he can't do better than the $75 ring, what is he gonna do for me?
We should probably move on.
Please.
Whatever.
Please.
Whatever. I did have this, kind of like what you said about unrealistic expectations for yourself. I thought when I got married, I was going to still be able to maintain my career, but become Susie Homemaker at the same time. Because I have a godmother, I hope she's listening, who has had a very successful legal career. And she cooked 2 to 3 meals a day for her family.
Oh.
I now know she is either an alien from another planet, or she's a pod person, or she has a clone. Because it is virtually impossible for me to do the same things. And she has gone way further in her career than I've gone in mine. And I mean meals. I don't mean like, I scrambled y'all some eggs, or I took this Hunger Man out the freezer and put it in the oven. No, like herb de Provence turkey, roasted potatoes, swordfish in parchment paper with thyme and herb and
maybe
lemon.
She has a really good crock pot.
No, I've never seen her use a crock pot.
That might be one of her secrets.
No, but I've watched her cook, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
That's amazing.
That still might be one of her secrets.
But I thought that's what being a wife
meant.
Now, don't get me wrong. I can throw down in the kitchen, but you're not finna get that multiple times a day, every day of the week.
Yeah.
But this was her.
Wow.
I know. So just because somebody else can do it don't mean you can, is all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Be real.
Or don't have that expectation of somebody else. So don't think that,
Yeah.
There you go.
you know, I'm going to get married and this person is going to cook 3 meals a day and still going to work and still going to take care of kids or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair to have that expectation of somebody else.
Which is so weird that I feel that way about my godmother, because both her and her husband work. So it's not, you know, and she, like I said, she had a very amazing legal career. But at the same time, I've always been the person that's like, well, if we both work and we both can cook, we both can clean.
Yeah.
Like, why is it I have to keep the house on my back and still climb the corporate ladder and you just get to climb the corporate ladder? Because you, man, a penis don't give you that much play. Like, what are you doing? You know, like, we in this together. So it's kind of weird that I had that expectation, but I feel this way about sharing household chores and duties and child rearing and all that other stuff.
Right.
But,
and maybe that's something that all of us, you know, even though we're married now, but, you know, being married or getting into a serious relationship, maybe that's something we have to evaluate within ourselves, is how much do our expectations actually meet up with or line up with our beliefs, like our personal morals. Because it sounds like that was an expectation you had that did not align at all with your personal beliefs about the gender roles and relationships.
Right, which shouldn't reconcile with each other.
Right.
But in my mind, it is some kind of way. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking like globally it should be shared, but in my house, I'm going to be able to do this.
Right.
But I would just love to know how she does it.
I would too.
Would. Maybe one day she'll come on the show. I would love to have her. She's wonderful, but I can't. I tried. Now, I cook most nights of the week, but he's not getting breakfast.
Right. Yeah. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Especially not now that we got these kids. Like, that's not happening.
So I have one, physical expectations. So I think a lot of times, especially now with social media, you see pictures of like these Instagram models.
They don't even look like that.
You know, people.
I've seen some of them in real life. They don't look like that. People
are lusting and loving behind these images that they see on the TV screen or on their phones or whatever the case may be. And this is male and female, and then translating that into what they think their partner should look like.
So can we just start off by saying, and I know we're going to have a deeper conversation about social media relationships, but you have to know right off the bat, no one's sharing the bad stuff. Okay?
Right.
So they're not sharing the 100 selfies it took to get that perfect selfie.
Right.
They're sharing the perfect one. They're not sharing all the angles where they were tired of sucking the gut in and you can't see what looks like abs. They're showing the one where it looks like they have a 6-pack. So if you're deriving what you expect out of your partner or yourself from that, you're setting yourself up for failure. You just have to kind of be the best version of you that you can be. I also will say, if I met you a certain kind of way, I cannot have the expectation that you will change. And by that, okay. I mean...
appearance-wise.
Yes, I mean physically. I cannot expect for you to... Either way, I gotta accept you the way I met you.
Right.
If I met you with a dad bod, I can't be like, well, now that we married, I really want you to try to get these washboard abs. And I would not want him to be like, well, now that we married, I really would like you to look like Nicki Minaj. Because it's not gonna happen. Right. But at the same time, you know, I don't think it's unrealistic to say, could you please maintain, though? I met you this way. I love you this way. But you put on about 600 pounds. You know, let's... I mean, I know that's extreme, but I'm just saying, you know, so we need to get back to at least how you was when I met you. Now, I know life happens, time changes things. You know, we get older, metabolism slow. Things happen. I understand that stress, cortisol makes all the fat come around your stomach and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't think it's unrealistic for either spouse to say, you know, I really just want you to maintain. And I do think it's unrealistic for me to expect you to completely change one way or the other.
Right. And I guess even more so before getting to that point, I always ask my friends to evaluate how much this physical characteristic will hinder their ability to emotionally connect with a person. So for instance, he does not have washboard abs, but he might be really handsome in the face. Can you get past the fact that he doesn't have those washboard abs to begin with?
I was about to say, you might be stuck on them abs and missing something great somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you marry.
I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Or you marry him for the abs and then the abs go away. He doesn't maintain that. And now what do now what do you have? What's left now?
Well, first of all, I don't think you should marry anybody based on just one aspect of that person. You know what I mean? So if you only really fell in love with him because he looked great on your arm, that was a vapid relationship from the beginning. But again, if I met you a certain kind of way, I kind of want you to maintain that. And I'm realistic. There's going to be fluctuations. Fluctuations is, 10, 20, one way or the other. Fluctuations is not 300 one way or the other. Fluctuations is not, you had this dad bod, but I really want this six pack. And I want the Arnold Schwarzenegger arms. And I want the Idris Elba legs. And I want, that's not necessarily realistic. If that's what you want to do, I support you. I'll cook your high protein meals for you and, watch the kids while you go to the gym. Maybe we'll go to the gym together. But I can't have it in my mind that, well, once we get married, he's going to change all these things for me just because I see him in my mind this way.
Right.
And not that way, And I get what you're saying about like your physical expectations hindering you from meeting a great guy. Because I'm sure if we had a guy on the show who maybe didn't have a perfect body, was like, plenty of chicks passed on me because they thought I was fat or something like that. And it's like, wow, you're a great guy and they missed out, but you still got to have some physical attraction.
Yeah, for sure.
To the person, For sure.
I just know I have plenty of friends that are like, oh, he's all right. And I'm like, oh, okay, but is there anything else you like about him?
Right.
Is it?
But also, like, what are you looking for? Because the Idris Elbas out there, they're taken.
There's only one Idris Elba.
I'm saying just the like. And guess what? He's taken. He is wedded. Okay? So even if you was holding out for that one, you're out of luck.
And that may not be the case. There may be the Idris Elba types that are not taken, but their personalities might be trash.
You may tell you how they're taken? They know they're few and far between, and they got 12 chicks
fighting over them.
Mm-hmm. And they love every second of it.
Wasting their time.
First of all, who's wasting whose time? Because the chicks should want more. I'm not finna share no man. I'm sorry. I don't share food. I don't share clothes. I don't share men. When you're mine, that goes for food, clothes, and men, you are mine. If you would like to not be mine, that also can be arranged. But then I don't want you anymore. Plain and simple.
Gotcha.
And that is the gospel according to Brie. Okay, so question. Where do we think a lot of these expectations come from? Do they come from social media, movies, TV? Do they come from family and friends? Do they come from just these fairy tales you have in your head? Where do we think this comes from?
Some expectations may come from like family, like how you saw maybe your parents doing things or how their relationship was or things like that. Like for instance, for me, my dad my mom never pumped gas, like ever. Like she ran out of gas like twice because she doesn't look at the needle. Like my dad always pumped her gas. So coming into this relationship with Mr. L, I'm just like, why don't you pump my gas? Like,
what's wrong with you?
He's like, I do pump your gas when we're together. I'm like, no, like all the time.
Yeah, like take the car and make sure there's gas in it for me.
And he just looked at me like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, it was unrealistic because he's like, you can pump gas. Like it's not that serious. But that's just something I took from my parents' relationship.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't it weird the things that you like see and like hold on to, like my godmother with her cooking, like because there's so many things about her that I could have wanted to emulate otherwise in my life, but no, it was the cooking and the marriage that I wanted to, like I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. So like for instance, my thing is cars. Like anything dealing with my car, my dad always took care of. It didn't matter what it was, how big or how small, my dad did it.
Can you change a tire?
If I had to, I could, but I've never physically changed one myself.
Can you check your oil?
I cannot check my oil.
Come
no.
on.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can change my tire. I never would. I would have called somebody. But
I mean, if I had to, I would. But being that I have a husband who is so wonderful and has met my expectations fully in that regard.
Oh, you jockeying for them Christmas presents, huh? Okay.
He now makes sure everything with my vehicle is on the up and up and pristine. I don't even have to worry about it.
See, this is where the pro of being raised by a single mother comes in, because I can do all of that. I can check my oil. I can change my oil. Shout out to my grandfather who got me under the Cadillac, baby, and showed me every step. Wow. I have changed my own tire, then drove it to the tire shop to buy a new tire. No, heifers didn't believe I did it. I was so mad. I was like, you want me to change it right now? I can do, like, what are you talking about? I had to have that because my mom had to have that self-sufficiency. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't have that around.
Right. So then that means in your case, in terms of family, your expectation was to be more self-sufficient.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think my husband enjoys that too, because he don't have to worry about it. He's like, she got it. She'll call me if it's a real problem or something like that. But he knows, like, if I get a flat tire, I can change it. Or I know it when my oil needs to be changed. I'm not going to change it now. That's for Audi to do. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I could.
Right. So, and I guess, so we know for sure that families influence our expectations, but I also think our friends influence our expectations. Because I think even though we shouldn't do this, we look at our friends and think, well, if her man is doing X, Y, and Z, or if she can get a man who's willing to do X, Y, and Z, then I should be able to get a man to do X, Y, and Z.
I got an example. Your husband, CJ, is the most heartfelt at giving, like, speeches.
Right.
That I often look at my husband like, why you can't say a few words? Like, what? That's not my husband's thing. He's like, that's not how I show you I love you. That's not what I do. Fair enough. But, like, we'll have an event or something or whatever, and he will ding, 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 tap the glass and give this really heartfelt, beautiful speech about his feelings for you or his love for all of us or something like that. And I'm just like, man, why can't you do that?
That was awesome.
That was awesome. I mean, but I learned this recently and I'm starting to live my life by it. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about what everybody else doing.
Yeah. So Mr. CJ and I say that all the time. We, like, even if we get into a conversation where we are just talking about, like, something somebody else has done or something somebody else has, we'll always end the conversation with, well, that's nice for them, but we have to worry about what's going on in our house. Like, as long as we're good, then everybody else can do what they want.
That's that reminds me of my husband and two of our friends went out to the grocery store and then came back, and one of our friends bought his wife some flowers back from the grocery store, some really, really beautiful flowers.
Aww.
So
that ain't something my husband would do either, though. So
I looked at my husband and I said, where's my flowers? Like, seriously? And so did the other wife of the other guy who came back from the grocery. And then, afterwards I just thought about it. I'm like, Elle, you don't even like flowers. Like, what is the deal?
Do,
like,
Mr. Bree.
You just have to really step back and say,
Right.
But again, he may not be the guy to bring you flowers, but he's also the guy that built you a house.
Right.
Whereas your friend's husband maybe not be able to do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So you gotta look at your own blessings. Right. Because as long as you're in a healthy, happy, joyous relationship, you're lucky. Because most people out there don't have it that good.
Right.
Yeah. And they're, in these relationships that sometimes are good, but a lot of times are toxic. And they're trying to make things work that don't want to work. So recognize what you have going. Yes, recognize the strengths of the relationship and of the man or woman that you have.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's something, again, I have had to learn. Because I'm definitely the kind of girl that's like, so we're going to bring up social media because I'm looking for my friend who's going to be my shopping buddy, pal.
Right. Who's going to say a fashion show and not the fashion
Correct.
show?
She will know the difference. Mm-hmm. She will know how to pronounce everything. She'll know who is in charge of the menswear for Louis Vuitton. Do you know who that is?
Nope, and I couldn't care less.
See? And that's why, yeah. So, ladies, if you're out there, or you know what? Gentlemen, if you're listening, I don't have to be a woman. Anyways, the point is there is an influencer that I follow on social media, and it almost appears like she's living the best version of my life. But I recognize also that she ain't gonna show me the bad stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was their 8th wedding anniversary. And he bought her a Cartier love ring. And then they went on this all-inclusive vacation to Mexico. And I'm telling this to my husband, and he's like, good for them.
Right.
Like, what do you want me to do about that? And I have to stop and be like, pause. If I put all of my stuff out there like she is, I would have plenty of people that's like, oh, Mr. Bree did X, Y, Z for Bree. You know, I just have to realize the blessings I had.
Yes.
We have to appreciate our own blessings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And see, but that's the problem with social media. Again, nobody's showing you the bad stuff. Because for all I know, she wake up next to a man every day that got stanky breath. No, but it's true. You don't
This is
know.
a possibility.
It's a possibility. You know, he might be into some weird things in the bedroom.
Right.
Or his farts might be like clear out a room.
Right.
Or he might have unrealistic expectations of her that she has to try to live up to, and she's always stressed trying to do those things. You know, you never know. They're only going to show you the good stuff. They're not going to show you what the bad stuff is or the turmoil.
Right. Same thing with reality TV. Same thing. They edit out things that they don't want to be perceived a certain way. I know for a fact, almost every time you look at a scene, the women are full face makeup, prepared to be in front of the camera and share whatever it is they're sharing. Same thing with the guys. They have the face powdered and all that kind of stuff.
Clothes are fresh, shoes clean. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's not realistic.
No, not at all.
You know, it's not, you shouldn't expect your wife to get up 30 minutes before everybody else every morning to put on a full face just for you.
Right.
She ain't going to work or nothing. She just so when you see her.
Right. Have you guys ever watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on
Not
Amazon?
Yet.
Okay.
But it keeps getting recommended.
When you do, I don't remember. It's early on in the season. When you do, let me know. Because this reminds me of a scene in the show. Same thing for you listeners. When you do, you'll think back on this moment in the podcast and say, that's what Miss CJ was talking about.
So most of y'all probably have seen this scene in A Different World. Where Whitley gets up before Dwayne.
Oh, yeah.
To go and brush her teeth so the breath smells good, and she puts a little makeup on her face, and she's got the perfume, and then she lays on the pillow perfectly. So when he wakes up, he's like, oh, you just look angelic. And she's like, oh, Dwayne. You know, like that's Meanwhile, I mean, let's be honest, in real life, that time in the morning, when my husband wakes up before me, there's probably drool on the side of my face, and my mouth is open, and I snore.
And we have a bonnet on.
And I got a bonnet on my head. Like, and there's no makeup. There's just the residue of my overnight face cream that maybe bled on my pillow. Like that, you know, I mean, but he's got to understand it's unrealistic for me to get up before him just to do those things, to fall back asleep, quote unquote. So when he wakes up, he's looking at this little angel face.
Right.
You will get the angel face when we go out. Not when you wake up in the morning.
That's real. That's real.
That's what it is.
So I guess as we're like wrapping this up, what is our overall take in terms of expectations as a whole? Like, how do you encourage someone to create realistic expectations?
So I do think you need to have a discussion with people you trust who probably aren't, hear me out, who probably aren't the spouse or other person in a relationship. Because you need to have a sounding board of people whose intentions are in your best interest to see, am I being realistic or am I tripping? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I have a friend, shout out to her, I'm not going to say her name, but all through elementary school and middle school and high school and college and to this day, she's always said, I want my kids to have their own daddy. Which means she didn't ever want to commit her life to a man who maybe already had children.
Which is actually a huge unrealistic expectation for a lot of women, but go ahead.
Right.
Men as well.
Men as well. Because, I mean, you know, think about how many women you would lose opportunity to date just because you didn't want a woman who already had a child.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with a guy. Now, when we were, 18, 19, 20, 21, fine. It wasn't unrealistic then because we were so young. Most of us didn't have kids yet.
Right.
But we're in our 30s now. That awesome guy you meet, chances are this is not his first serious relationship, possibly not his first marriage, and probably not his first kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? And because you're going to X out meeting him, all because you have this now unrealistic expectation that I don't want to date a guy that had kids already, you're losing.
Right.
And I have to say, my friend is still single.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Not to say that that's why, but it possibly plays a big part.
Right. So is it more important to look at these expectations in terms of the quality they will bring to the relationship and filtering out the things that are there because I want them. I just want them, as opposed to that are there because I need them to be in a healthy, loving relationship.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. You gotta separate those two things. Is it just that I want a guy who's 6'7", who has curly dark hair and green eyes? How does that benefit me in my life?
Right.
How does that make him a good partner? It doesn't. So it's not a need.
Right.
And it's probably unrealistic. Because ain't that many of those dudes running around. Certainly not in this area. I swear I don't never see anybody looking like that. I don't know where they are. Maybe if I go to Greece or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's true.
All right. Anything else y'all want to add?
I just want to say that when you are talking to this person that you're going to sound off of, make it somebody who is also in a healthy, loving relationship or has had a track record of being in healthy, loving, mature relationships, and not somebody who themselves has unrealistic expectations, good or bad. Oh, because also it can be unrealistic to think that a person should treat you in a negative way for the relationship. And we've talked about all these unrealistic things that are like, quote unquote, positives, but like, I also think it's unrealistic to be like, yeah, all men are going to talk to me like I'm a piece of trash when they mad. That's unrealistic. That should not be what you're looking for. And that should not be what you're settling for. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So make sure the expectations are feasible and realistic both ways.
Right. And it also sounds like, just listening to you guys talk about this, these are actually things you have to resolve within yourself. So a lot of things we talk about are things you resolve between you and your spouse, or you and, like the last episode, you and your in-laws. These are things you resolve within yourself with what you're willing to take and leave on the table in terms of a relationship.
Right.
So you can having these conversations with other people is important, but at the end, you have to take all of that advice and information and work that out on your own.
Right. Like, don't lower your standards, but make sure your expectations are realistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add out?
No, I think we pretty much hit everything. Yeah.
Okay. So let's do questions.
Yep. Let's do it.
Oh wait, who is this one from? Do we know?
I don't know.
I am so sorry, listener who submitted this question. We lost your name. Bad misses. Bad misses. So feel free to reach out to us on any of our social media, or you can re-email us with your name and we will shout you out on a later podcast. But her question, I think it's a her. Could be a him.
It could be.
The question is, I think my husband's boss wants him. He says I'm nuts and that she's just friendly. Should I confront her? Whew.
First thing,
her as in the boss.
Yeah, I don't think she means her husband, her. Because she would have probably said wife.
Oh, okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, all my lesbian friends out there and lesbian listeners, but you don't refer to each other as husband and wife. You're wife and wife, I believe.
No, I just don't have the question in front of me.
Oh, so no, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good, because I don't want to step on any toes. So certainly, if I'm wrong on that, let us know. But I think it would be wife and wife if they were a lesbian couple. So I think she means her, the boss.
Okay.
Right. So yeah. I think the listener is saying, should they confront the boss who they think wants
Gotcha.
the husband.
Yes.
I would say absolutely not. I feel like that's something that the husband has to resolve. Because, I mean, that's I don't know. For me, the job is like, that's just professional. Like, I'm not the type of person to like show up at my husband's job. Like, he complained, like, why didn't you come see me at work? And I'm like, it's separate. Like, it's professional. Like, I don't want to ever bring personal life into it. I know it's weird.
Maybe it's because his coworker spouses come visit them and he has this unrealistic expectation that that you will come visit him for lunch every day.
I mean, I'm not really sure, but I don't think that I would ever confront the boss. I think that's something that he should handle on his own. And I would have to know exactly how it was handled, what happened. Like, I need to know details.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not just going to let it slide either, but I don't think confronting her would do anything but possibly make the situation worse.
There is only one scenario that I could think of where I would confront her. So I pretty much agree with everything you said, which is no, he got to handle that. The scenario in which I would confront her is a scenario in which she is no longer his boss and she is any bitch who's trying to get at my husband in front of my face. So if we are at a function, an event or something like that, and she is throwing herself on my husband, I don't care if she is the president of the United States and the Secret Service is just itching to tackle me. She is getting two-pieced. Like, you do not disrespect me and put my husband in that type of uncomfortable situation ever. That is a hard no. I will walk you like a dog. Don't try it. However, any other instance where I feel like maybe, some things I've heard she said, or maybe a scenario she's put him in is inappropriate, I think he needs to handle it. He's a grown ass man. Mm-hmm. He should be able to be like, Betty Lou, I didn't think that was appropriate. What you just said to me, I'm a married man. I find that disrespectful to my wife and to me. Let's keep this professional, Mm-hmm. And if she don't want to hear that, call HR.
I was getting ready to say.
And if they don't have HR, call Channel 6, baby.
Yeah. Nowadays, there are so many avenues in terms of preventing
workplace harassment. Because that's literally what it is.
Right.
If someone's like not responding to or returning your advances, at a point you are harassing.
Right.
They know your intentions. They're not interested. You're not stopping. Now it's harassment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I feel like if you're not really going up that chain and going like the appropriate way, like where the wife is confronting the boss, it's easier for the boss to retaliate in ways that would be,
Right.
Your husband might lose his job.
Hurtful to his job.
You coming down there acting like a crazy heifer could cause him to lose his job.
Right. Exactly.
And now all of a sudden your bag is stopped. Y'all like cut off because you acting crazy. Let him handle it. Yeah. Do not confront her is what we saying.
Yes.
Yeah, unless y'all at the Christmas party and she fix your man a plate. Joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. So I agree with you guys. Yeah.
All right. So anything else you want to add to that?
Nope.
All right. Well, y'all know it's time for my quote. So this one is about some unrealistic expectations. I'm going to see if y'all catch it.
Okay.
When you catch it, because you should, just jump in and you could.
Okay.
All right. Y'all ready? And don't cheat and look at my computer screen. I'm joking. All right. Have you ever seen the crocodile seats in the truck? Turn around and sit them down, let them bite your butt. See the steering wheel and spin the dashboard on my neck. With your baby mama plays where you can find me. Cruising through the parking lot on 24s. With the navigation arrow headed straight to your spot where you're right in love because the sex is so hot. Put the caddy up, start the 3-wheel bends. Hyper white lights, ultraviolet lens. Summa tires and they gotta be run flat. TV with a horn go, boy, can you top that? I'ma show you some shit. When I press that button, the trunk went and all of a sudden 415s didn't see no wires. And then I heard boom from the amplifiers. Get up, boom. Now y'all go download that song that would be Still Fly by the Big Timers.
Yes.
If you didn't catch that, shame on you. That is an American classic. It's an important part of American history. There you go. Manny Fresh and the Birdman. Yeah. But that's some unrealistic expectations is my point.
Perfect quote. All right, guys. This has been another episode
Wait. Pause. I'm so sorry. You guys, we have to say something to some awesome fellow podcasters who not only have been keeping our name alive during our hiatus, but had us on their podcast as guests. Shout out to Martin Batts Bradford and Alpha Joe 504 for having us on the Fly with Bats podcast.
Yes, shout out to you guys.
That episode, I believe, is entitled War Makes You Do Weird Things. I think that's what it's called. We'll probably have a link somewhere on our social media to it if we didn't already link it. But please give them a listen and subscribe to their podcast. Also, it's really funny and they talk about some awesome topics and they're so off the wall and so candid. It's really, really awesome. But guys, we love you. Thank you so much for having us on. And we promise to return the favor.
Yes.
So I just didn't want that to go without us saying that.
Yeah.
I meant to say it on the last episode, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
Thanks, guys. And we will definitely find a way to get you all on the show.
Yes.
For sure.
All right. You can take it away now.
All right. This has been another episode of the Mrs. and a Mike podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Mrs. and a Mike. And you can also reach out to us on Gmail at mrsandamike@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. This is CJ.
It's L.
And Bree.
Bye.